Everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the SCU show. I'm your host, SCU. We have a really good show for you today. This is episode number 31. We are available on YouTube, of course. We are also available on Anchor, Spotify, and the I-95 Sports Network podcast media network. Available at i95sportsnetwork.com, so go check that out. How you're listening, how you're watching, we appreciate you making this part of your Friday, or whenever you're watching this episode of the SCU show. Alright, so let's get to it. We have a great show. Month of April is here. Of course, we're still dealing with the coronavirus and all this other stuff. But we do have some draft stuff, because the draft is going to go on as scheduled, and we have a lot of content for the draft. So let's start with this. The biggest rumor in the NFL right now is that the Dolphins are looking to trade up to get the first overall pick and quarterback Joe Burrow. Why exactly? I don't know. Because that actually makes no sense at all. The Dolphins have been rebuilding for years. I've been covering the Dolphins since 2015. I started covering the Dolphins in 2015. And I've been watching them do their thing. Obviously, now this is the time where the Dolphins should be looking into something like Tua. Of course, I think everybody can agree at this point that Tua is the answer for the Dolphins. And it's absolutely not Joe Burrow. I've said this several times, and I'll say it again, that Joe Burrow he's like a one-hit wonder. It was like, he had a great season. That's awesome. He's not going to have any success in the NFL, though. And I've been saying that. I'm seeing it again. Here we go. I don't see why the Dolphins would look to trade up to take Burrow number one overall. That would make absolutely no sense. It would ruin everything, because the Dolphins have done so much great things to make this team better. They got Kyle Van Noy. They got Byron Jones. They have a former Patriot head coach who built the different culture here in Miami now, looking to do that, or has one or the other. We haven't really seen much yet, because only been one season under Bluff Brian Flores, but that's what looks like it's supposed to be. Like, they appointed Brian Flores to build a different culture in Miami, to help them rebuild. They've now appointed Kyle Van Noy and Byron Jones. So now the only real thing is the quarterback. And that's what they need. Brian Fitzpatrick could retire after this season. He's probably going to be their starter for this year. And then that's it. And then it's Tua time. Because I think everybody agrees at this point that Tua Tagovailoa is the answer for the Dolphins. And really, the fact that they're even thinking about going for Joe Burrow is absolutely absurd. It makes no sense at all whatsoever. That would ruin everything. And again, I've been saying, and a lot of people agree that Joe Burrow, one-hit wonder. He got a great year at LSU. That's awesome. But that's all he had, was a great year at LSU. It's not like he's going to be your next franchise quarterback. The Dolphins, let the Bengals take Joe Burrow. Don't be dumb. Don't ruin this for yourselves. It just makes no sense for you guys to even think about it. Even think about going for Joe Burrow number one makes absolutely no sense. Especially the way the Dolphins have been rebuilding. Now that Tom Brady's gone, the AFC East is so much more open, because they'll be starting either Brian Hoyer or Jarrett Stidham this year. You don't know what to make of Josh Allen. And I still don't think the Jets are good at all. Like, I don't understand why they still believe in Sam Darnold. I don't understand why anybody believes in Sam Darnold. But for some awful reasons, people still do indeed believe in Sam Darnold. It doesn't make any sense. Not at all. And the fact that the Dolphins, again, the rumors that the Dolphins are looking to trade out to go number one overall, that makes no sense either. None of this really, for the Dolphins, makes sense. Just go stick with Tua. Stay where you are. Keep doing what you're doing. And the AFC East could be yours in a year or two. Let's see what happens. Speaking of Tua, we're going to stick with Tua here on the SCU show. There's a lot of course, possibilities of where Tua could go. Everybody thinks that he's going to go to the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, we all think that that's like the coup de grace. That's kind of like where he belongs, is in Miami. That's where he's going to probably wind up, like 100% wind up at this point. And if he doesn't, it's going to be a big shock to everybody. I know it's going to be a big shock to me. It's going to be a big shock to Dolphins fans everywhere. But, I decided, let's have some fun. What if, just, spitballing here, what if Tua did not go to the Dolphins? Where else could he go? Because there have been talks about him going other places as well. And so I decided to do sort of a sweepstakes. And we looked into the different teams that could possibly take him instead of the Dolphins. The first one was the Bengals. I mean, it makes no sense. Bengals are a big mess, everybody knows that the Bengals is such a big mess, and it would not work. I mean, they're rebuilding. They still have some things to work on. I don't think that they take him. I don't think they're interested in him. They are interested in Joe Burrow just because of the fact that he had such a great season. So I think that the Dolphins would go ahead and take Joe Burrow. I mean, not the Dolphins, the Bengals. I think the Bengals will go ahead and take Joe Burrow, and that's going to be the end of that. Next one I have on my list here was Washington, because there was rumors that Washington was interested in Tua. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. It really does. If I'm a Florida Cowboys fan, whatever. Talk about the Redskins. It makes perfect sense. Well, not perfect sense. It makes a lot of sense because we don't know what to expect from Dwayne Haskins year 2. We don't know if he's going to be that guy moving forward. We don't know. We have no idea. My retrospective, my point of view, the way I see it is that the Redskins will eventually move off of Dwayne Haskins. They're going to show him. He's going to show them this year that he's not the quarterback that they think he is. And maybe it wouldn't be too bad of an idea to take Tua Tagovailoa. It could work. Tua is a better improvement of Dwayne Haskins. They're both running quarterbacks, but I think Tua is a better NFL quarterback than Dwayne Haskins will ever be. However, the latest report is that Stephen A. Smith put this out, by the way, and credit to Redskins Today on Instagram for posting about this. The Redskins are taking Chase Young. That is happening. That is 100% the deal. So, the Redskins? Not going to happen. But still an interesting analogy because he has a better Dwayne Haskins, and he could help the Redskins be a better team overall. So it's not going to happen, but it would be very interesting to see if it did happen. The next one is Detroit Lions. Again, not going to happen, but because they are still in love with Matt Stafford after 10, 11, 12 years and no playoff wins. But it's an interesting look there. The Lions have built their defense. They got Desmond Trufant, Jamie Collins. They're building that defense, and then they have Marvin Jones. They have Kenny Galladay. They have these great receivers. They don't have the quarterback, and unfortunately, Detroit's not going to move off Matt Stafford anytime soon. They're going to stick with him for another 10 years probably. But still, if they did go to Tua, it would be again very interesting. It would definitely be very interesting to see. I would be a fan of it, for sure. Especially in the NFC North where you have Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins just signed a new deal. And the Bears will probably be tanking for Trevor Lawrence. Or I think they should. They should go for Trevor Lawrence. They could have a bad quarterback this year, but next year, it's going to be interesting. And if they took Tua, that whole division would be wide open. Absolutely. And then the last one is the Chargers. Again, the Chargers would be a really great fit. I think that would be the second best fit outside of Miami. Because I've said this last week. The Chargers are just a quarterback away from competing with the Chiefs. Like, the Chargers and Chiefs would meet in the AFC Championship game if they had a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. And they unfortunately are sticking with Tyrod Taylor, which I don't get. I don't get why they would stick with Tyrod Taylor, but that's what they're going with. That's what they're doing. But still, could you just imagine Tua in LA? That would make so much sense. It would be a really good team. They already have a stacked team. They just need the quarterback. But unfortunately, they're sticking with Tyrod Taylor most likely. Who, by the way, has worse... No, never mind. Anyway, you get the point. So, there you have it. Tua to the Bengals would make no sense because they're a big mess, and they wouldn't help them at all. To the Redskins, that would make sense because Dwayne Haskins, we don't know anything about him, and Tua is kind of like a better Dwayne Haskins, better arm, better running quarterback, stuff like that. Detroit would make sense if they decided to move off Matt Stafford because they have a great receiving core. But they won't move off of him. It's been 10, 11, 12 years. They will not move off of him, and I don't know why. And finally, the Chargers. It would make sense, but it's not going to happen. I don't think he falls to the 6th spot at all. So there you have it. Tua sweepstakes. Here on the SCU show. Alright, here's something else. I'm not a big mock draft guy because I don't follow these guys after college, They do well, and I'm like, alright, this guy's good. Where could he wind up? That's it's like quarterback, really. It's like Tua, it's like Joe Burrow. Where do these guys go? Where do these guys? I'm not scouting 5th-round picks or anything like that, but I did see an interesting mock draft from Pro Football Focus. Excuse me. They had a really good mock draft. I saw this last week. So they had Joe Burrow going 1 to Cincinnati, of course. That's no surprise. I think that's happening 100%. Chase Young to the Redskins. We've already decided that that's most likely going to happen. They had the Dolphins trading up at number 3 for Tua. I think that's a smart move because you never know what the Lions are really thinking. Because there were reports that the Lions were interested in Tua as well. Of course, these are old reports. I don't know if they're still accurate or whatever. But still an interesting take that the Dolphins move up to number 3 to take Tua. I think it's a smart move because, again, you don't know what the Lions are thinking. Maybe they want Tua. And the Dolphins would just step in their way and take him away from them. I think that would be very interesting. Giants get Mekhi Becton as an O-lineman. They could use some help on the O-line. Daniel Jones could use some help there. The Lions get Jeff Okudah to line up with Devin Trufant. That'll be a great 2 cornerback core in Detroit. And that's typically all mock drafts are saying at this point, that the Lions, regardless of 3rd or 5th or 6th pick, whatever pick they have, they're going to go ahead and take the guy from Ohio, the cornerback from Ohio State. I can't really say his last name too well. But I think that would be a good pick. I think that's what they're going to go with regardless. And then you have number 6. The Chargers get Justin Herbert. And I think that's the absolute perfect pick because I think that the Chargers can definitely use a quarterback. I said it. The Chargers can use a quarterback. And then they'll have a West Coast kid who knows West Coast offense. It makes too much sense for the Chargers to take Justin Herbert at 6. At 7, the Carolina Panthers will take Isaiah Simmons. They will replace Luke Kuechly. Smart move. I like that. Arizona take an offensive lineman and Tristan Wirfs. Now, obviously, Kyler Murray needs that offensive line help. You see him running around for his life all the time, kind of like Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson has a better arm and is a more accurate passer than Kyler Murray at this point. The Jaguars replace Calais Campbell with Derek Brown, a defensive tackle. That would make sense in a dumpster fire of Jacksonville that they are. The Browns get an offensive tackle, Andrew Thomas. Again, there's no excuses for Baker Mayfield. And if they go get the Andrew Thomas from Georgia, who I love, by the way, one of my favorite offensive tackles in the draft, probably my favorite offensive tackle in the draft, yeah, that would make just too much sense. Because they need to not have excuses for Baker. They already got Austin Hooper. They have OBJ. They have Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, the running back. No excuses. If they get an offensive lineman, there's even less excuses for Baker Mayfield. And then the last one I saw was the Jets get Jedrick Willis, an offensive tackle. I guess that would make sense. They really need a receiver, though. I would take CeeDee Lamb if I was the Jets at number 10. They need a receiver because Robbie Anderson is gone. He was there. Obviously, he was clearly their 1. They don't have a number 2. And now they don't have a number 1. And that's another reason I think the Jets are such a mess. So really, props to Pro Football Focus, excuse me. What a great mock draft they put out last week. Alright, now let's get off the draft. We're going to talk some other stuff that's going on in the NFL. We'll talk about 2 quarterbacks who are now free agents, former number 1 overall picks. Let's start with Cam Newton. Cam Newton got released by the Panthers last week or a few weeks ago. And now, I think it's over. I don't think who needs a quarterback at this point? The only teams that need a quarterback are Chicago, New England. The Chargers need a quarterback, but let's look at Cam first. For the last 46 starts, he's played 46 games since winning the MVP and getting to the Super Bowl. 23-23 record. His stats are worse than Tyrod Taylor's, who I said is not the Chargers' ideal quarterback, and who has been benched for Baker Mayfield. I think that tells you a lot about Cam Newton. How his stats are worse than Tyrod Taylor's. So let's look at the possibilities and why they're not going to work. New England, it's not going to work. They're going to look to either have Jarrett Stidham become the next Tom Brady or this next Steve Young and take over for a legend and do well, or they'll start Brian Hoyer, win a few games next year and then have a high draft pick, get a more talented quarterback to run their team. Or, like I said last week, they could go for Deshaun Watson. And I think that's what the route they're going to go for at this point, is to go for Deshaun Watson. I don't think they're going to waste their time with another quarterback in the draft or otherwise. I think they're just going to stick with Stidham and Hoyer this year, 2 quarterbacks. Let me see who starts week 1, whoever. And I think they run with that, and then they go Deshaun Watson 2021. So Cam Newton to the Patriots, not happening. The Chargers, yeah, they're sticking with Tyrod Taylor. I said this already. They put it out there that Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback, and they're going to draft a quarterback in the draft. Probably Justin Herbert. I hope Justin Herbert. I assume Justin Herbert. Because that's what all mock drafts say, and that's really, the way it makes too much sense for them not to take him. But either way, I don't think Cam Newton will work in LA either, even as a backup. I'll get to that in a moment, though. So the Chargers, not going to happen either. Yeah, so pretty much that's it. Every other team has a quarterback at this point, or two. Even Chicago, even the Raiders, they have two quarterbacks. The Raiders have Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota, and the Bears have Trubisky, and Nick Foles. And I don't think Cam Newton's just going to sit there and accept a backup quarterback job. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And really, even as a backup quarterback, the only place that he could possibly wind up as a backup quarterback is in Jacksonville behind Gardner Minshew. But who wants to be part of that? That's a dumpster fire in Jacksonville. I've said that several times. I'm saying it again. It's a dumpster fire down in Jacksonville. Would make no sense for him to go there just to be a backup. So at this point, I think Cam Newton's season, I don't think he plays this year. I just don't think he's with the team 2020. I think maybe 2021, depending what happens. But at this point, I don't think Cam Newton plays this upcoming NFL season. I just don't. Flipping the script now, 2015 number one overall pick, Jameis Winston is also a free agent because obviously Tom Brady's in Tampa. So Jameis Winston, I think, would be a real nice fit as a backup somewhere in Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh would be the perfect place for him to go as a backup quarterback because Big Ben, he's getting really old. Obviously, you see him now. He's like in his late 30s. He's just coming off elbow surgery, so we don't know if he's going to be healthy to start the year. And he says he feels great. That's awesome. But there's still a long time till the football season begins. And what if this is Big Ben's last year? What if, there's that chance that Big Ben could retire after the year and Jameis Winston takes over. And then everyone's like, Jameis Winston 30 for 30. Come on, people. You really think he's going to throw 30 picks again this year? It's not going to happen. Come on, let's be real. Seriously. Jameis Winston's going to be fine. He had his eye surgery, so maybe his passing accuracy will go up. He has a really good arm. I've seen film on him. Obviously, he has a really nice arm. So, and plus he has Juju Smith-Schuster, James Washington. It's not a bad receiving core out there. I think they have a really talented core. And then they have James Conner in the backfield. So it's not like Steelers are like the Jaguars or the Browns. They're a pretty good team. And Jameis Winston do well as a quarterback in Pittsburgh. I just think it's going to have to wait a year or so. I don't think he's going to play this year because I think Big Ben would obviously start. So, but like I said, I think that makes a lot of sense. I saw two experts said it as well. Will Brinson was one from CBS Sports. There was another guy who said that. I think it was Jason McIntyre, who said that Jameis Winston to Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense because he could start if Big Ben gets hurt this year. He could start maybe week 8, week 9, or depending on if Big Ben gets hurt or the Steelers are that bad and they decided to bench Big Ben, which I don't think is going to happen either. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do think, though, again, Jameis Winston to Pittsburgh as a backup quarterback and potentially a starting one makes a lot of sense. And I would really like to see it happen. All right, final topic of the day. And this is a really, really good one. So the NBA, we're going to switch to the NBA, by the way. Oops. So the NBA has talked about going straight to the postseason due to the coronavirus thing. They're thinking about canceling the rest of the regular season. It's already April. The playoffs will already begin, and we're probably going to be stuck in this pandemic for another month or so at least. So the NBA was talking about potentially just playing playoffs. Just get straight to the playoffs. Resume then. Have no fans. Play in Vegas. A whole bunch of different things. And therefore, I looked into it, and I looked into it, and I saw this would be the bracket if the NBA playoffs did start as soon as this pandemic ended. If this pandemic ended, Bucks would play the Magic, Heat, Pacers, Celtics, Sixers, Raptors, Nets in the East, and in the West you had the Lakers, Grizzlies, Jazz, Thunder, Clipper, Mavs, and Nuggets and Rockets. So let's go through this. Let's see how this would turn out if the playoffs did start with these teams the way they are seeded. Bucks Magic would be the 1-8 matchup in the East. That's laughable. Come on, why are the Magic even in the playoffs to begin with? I mean, I don't understand it. The Bucks would sweep them, no question about it. Heat Pacers, that's the 4-5 matchup, excuse me. That'll be an interesting matchup. I love the Heat. I love what they're doing. I did pick them to get to the NBA Finals. I don't think they get to the NBA Finals now. I think they're too young. I do think that they are a better team than the Pacers. If last I checked, the Pacers are a sub-500 team, and therefore I would pick the Heat over the Pacers about 6 games. Celtics-Sixers would be a 3-6 matchup, and it's not as good a matchup as you might think it is. The Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference. Yes, I said it. And the Sixers are missing Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Both of them are injured. I don't think either of them will be able to start for this series if it started today. And therefore, I picked the Celtics in 5 games. And the Raptors-Nets would be the 2-7 matchup. I do like the Nets. Obviously, I'm not, I'm not trying to be biased. I'm up here in the Brooklyn area, but I do like what the Nets are doing. They're winning games without Kyrie, without KD. Of course, KD's out for the year, and Kyrie's now out for the year as well. But that's the problem. That's the problem with the Nets, that Kyrie and KD are both out for the year, and they're going to make the playoffs. Raptors in about 4 or 5. To the West now we go. The Lakers and the Grizzlies will be the 1-8 matchup. Obviously, LeBron James, Anthony Davis would go up against John Morant, who is presumed the Rookie of the Year. Yeah, the Lakers would sweep them. I don't think that the Grizzlies win a game. If they do, they get lucky, then we'll lose in 5. The 4-5 matchup would be the Jazz and the Thunder. Very interesting matchup again. The Jazz are doing well. They've done well over the last few years. The Thunder are still doing well, even without their big threes all gone now. James Harden, Westbrook, and Kevin Durant. They do have Chris Paul, though, and still have Steven Adams. So I would say a pretty close series. I would pick the Jazz, though, in 6. Clippers-Mavs, 2-7 matchup. This, again, a very interesting matchup. Luka Doncic taking the lead by storm again this year for Dallas. But Clippers, really talented team. I would pick them in probably 5 or 6 games. 3-6 matchup, we did Nuggets and the Rockets. The Rockets lose pretty often, but usually it's in the second round, so I would go ahead. And by the way, Russell Westbrook was having a really great season before this all stopped. His numbers were getting better. He wasn't shooting much threes, which is, shoot a lot of improvement when it came to Russell Westbrook. And therefore, I would pick the Rockets over the Nuggets in probably 6 or 7. So we move on to the next round. The next round let's go to the East now, would be the Bucks and the Heat. I would pick the Bucks to win that just because Giannis and the Heat they're too young. I don't think they can overcome Giannis and the Bucks like that. So I picked them about 5 or 6. Probably 6. I would go 6 with that one. Celtics-Raptors would be a very interesting one. That's a 7-game series, no doubt about it. But since the Celtics would have the home court advantage, I would pick the Celtics in 7. I would pick them to beat the Raptors. Lakers-Jazz on the other side of the spectrum. I think the Lakers are too talented. I think the Jazz, they're just not going to be able to compete with LeBron, AD, and that team. I pick Lakers in 5 or 6. Clippers-Rockets would be a very interesting matchup, but again, the Rockets, they lose this is about the time of the year where the Rockets wind up falling apart. I think that they lose in 6 games to the Clippers. Eastern Conference Finals then would be the Bucks and the Celtics. We've seen this before. Last year, the Celtics beat down on the Bucks en route to the next. I think it was the semifinals they went to, and they lost the Eastern Conference Finals. Anyway, I would think that once again the Celtics get the best of the Bucks, and they advance to the NBA Finals this year. Probably 6 or 7, probably 7 games actually. I think the Celtics have that great team in Jason Tatum, and they have Marcus Smart and a lot of great players, and the Bucks have Giannis, and that's all the Bucks have is Giannis. They don't have anybody else. So I would take the Celtics over the Bucks about 7 games. And in the Western Conference Finals, you have Battle of LA, you have the Lakers, you have the Clippers, and a lot of people are not going to like this if they watch this segment. Yeah, I'm picking the Clippers in 7 games over the Lakers. I think that Kawhi and Paul George are a better duo than LeBron and AD. And I think that because the Clippers, I think they're moving next year to the Forum in Inglewood. I think they're leaving in Staples Center. I think they go out with a bang. I think they beat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, 7-game series. So that leaves the NBA Finals. Would be the Celtics and the Clippers. What a matchup, because you have the Celtics, and again, they're a really talented team around them. They have a lot of more guys than the Clippers do. Clippers only have Kawhi and PG-13. However, despite that, I do think that the Celtics team is a little too young right now, not really experienced when it comes to the the playoffs and all that, I think that the Clippers win the NBA Finals, become the 2020 NBA champions, defeating the Celtics in 6 games. Kawhi becomes the 3rd player to win 3 titles with 3 teams. It's gonna happen. That's what I would see. So that's only if the NBA does resume their season and just say, the hell with it, we're just gonna go to the playoffs. Forget the regular season. I'm not gonna do the regular season anymore. That's if. Big if. We'll see what happens there. And with that, we are done. That was a great episode. I really enjoyed this week's episode. I like the whole NBA thing that came out, so it was really nice. Cam Newton, I think your season is over, brother. I don't think you played this year, and if you are going to play this year, you better pick up a backup quarterback spot in Jacksonville. That's it, everybody. Thanks for watching or listening, wherever you might be listening. We're on Anchor, Spotify, or watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I got segments out. Whatever the case is, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been episode 31 of the